Okay, so this will be a feedback slash critique for Tooru. Tooru? Jackie Chan Adventures, bro? I missed that show. Okay, so I'm gonna assume you're the Josie player because it's posted in Josie Cord. Let's lower the volume a little bit. Right off the bat, why are you doing 143? Right? I mean, he doesn't punish you. It's whatever. And what's the range? What's the range we're looking at? Yeah, he could easily launch you. Like Hwoarang has a generic down forward too, right? This thing's minus 15. Now, granted, you'll see this maybe once a millennia, so it's not like you can expect people to have the punish ready. Um, but this is gonna be a running theme throughout your set where you just kind of do moves, and there's no forethought to it. You're just kind of pressing your launchers and your buttons and stuff, and it just feels like you're just throwing things at the wall and seeing whatever works, and then hopefully something happens. As opposed to, okay, here is my plan of attack, here is my plus frame situation to convert, etc., etc. You'll see yourself doing Magic 4 in situations where it's like, yeah, I mean, you can argue that you're trying to bait out something and challenge him at -1 to 3, which is whatever. But the Hwoarang never really presses buttons when he shouldn't, um, and it just doesn't really work out in your favor. But we'll see how it goes. And that's it. And here's another thing, right? It's that you'll see throughout the match that your approach is always typically just like moves. It's just kind of, all right, here's my long reaching moves. Here's my rage drive toss out just to see if you clip something and get lucky. Or you never like don't run forward, but dash blocking is your friend. This matchup is not a matchup where you want to be up close and personal with Hwoarang, right? Like the dude's got 50 million mix-ups. He's a fucking cheese factory, and if you don't know what you're doing, and if you don't know what to do, like how to handle that output, you're gonna get demolished. So it is in your best interest to just kind of hang back at a range where you can try and force whiffs out of the Hwoarang to punish, right? So right here, unfortunate he committed. So like right here, 3 or jab punish would have been fine. Or, no, it went back too far. Like the moment he starts doing this, down forward 2, right? This is a tricky situation where you need a combination of good reactions and like kind of like that awareness of like, okay, I'm gonna bait out a whiff. He's gonna try and like test me, and then just boom, down forward 2. You mentioned how I guess you're kind of nervous, which is understandable, but that's something to keep in mind for the future, right? Of utilize movement to bait out the whiff and be ready with the punish. It's all about that mental awareness and readiness to capitalize on that opportunity, right? As opposed to just letting him throw out all these buttons. I think you just, well, I feel like you committed to the side step here, so maybe that opportunity wasn't there, but it's just something to be aware of try to force more whiffs out of the Hwoarang. And this whole situation here, obviously you can't showcase your button presses, but like, what was going on here, right? Just kind of like, he has this whole sequence. Well, this part's the combo. So he whiffs a few buttons. I guess right here you were trying to go for a whiff punish, but you were too slow, and then he hits you out of whatever you're trying to do, and then he just keeps hitting you, right? So like, what exactly were you doing? Were you pressing buttons? Were you trying to challenge it with some panic option tool thing? Not necessarily saying about like, how fucking dare you, but it's more about like, think about how you're handling under pressure. Hwoarang, it's like the moment you get hit by something, you just kind of hold it until you know better, and you have like a better opportunity later on down the line to escape the pressure, right? Because 90% of the time, if he hits you, you're at a disadvantage, and sometimes it's not by much. He's only like +2 or 3, but because he's got those string mix-ups, it's very dangerous to kind of like throw out a button without awareness. So be careful about that. I think what's coming up right here is yeah, okay. So right here, I think it's muscle memory kind of kicking in. Sorry, give me one sec. Excuse me. It's got a muscle memory kicking in because you immediately do while standing 2-1. Right? And on top of that, you got the combo down, which is fine. But where's the... So this is like not the worst. I think it's like fine because of the axis the wall standing 2-1 puts them. You can still maintain wall pressure. This is where you cut. This is the which way Western man, right? Do you want the wall standing 2-1 to realign and then hope possibly keep wall pressure? It's a gamble, right? Because I don't. This is coming from someone whose stage awareness is kind of shit. So I'm not too. What's the word I'm saying? I'm not too confident that. All right, let me do wall standing 2-1 and get a full combo. I'm of the opinion that like I'm gonna do wall standing 2-1 and then it's gonna get like a side wall hit and fuck me, right? That's not ideal. Whereas if I just do delayed hop kick, I get a fat punish, high damage, decent wall carry. It's Josie. She'll reach the other end just fine. But I won't have to worry about a side wall hit, right? It's hard to make that kind of split-second judgment without practice, but that's something you need to consider in the future when you run into this scenario, right? Like, you have the combo down, no complaints there. But, like, right here, I'm of the opinion, given your life situation, I think you just go for, like, the big-ass damage momentum as much as you can. So this should have been delayed hop kick into a combo. Your wall carry is fine, especially given how far forward 2-3-3 launches the fucking opponent as an ender. You probably would have reached the end of the wall stage. Or, at worst, your return to neutral leaves you at a decent enough position to start doing, like, you know, baiting whiffs or crouch dash stuff. But yeah, it's kind of up to you, man. I'm of the opinion that you should just go for the bigger damage. Yeah. I mean, your combo is consistent, so... That was a weird choice of an ender. This is another one, right? So, you're using forward for a lot, which is understandable. It's a fantastic move. But you're leaving yourself at -9 in front of Hwoarang, and that's just not a place you want to be in, right? You want to be at a distance, maybe say like range 2, 2.5-ish, where you can poke with like down forward 4, or down 4, or what other 3 if you need to, etc. Just give yourself some breathing room, right? So that way, if the Hwoarang starts to challenge you and press buttons, you can hopefully backdash to safety, or backdash to bait a whiff and then do something with that, right? Because you don't want to be -9 against the Hwoarang. You have to block and you have to take his mix-up, right? Are you confident in your matchup knowledge to take any mix-up this Hwoarang is now going to throw at you, right? And then on top of that, it's just kind of like you're not really doing anything that's making the Hwoarang sidestep a bunch, right? And it's like, this move is great, yes, but it's great when the Hwoarang is trying to press buttons, which he's not really gonna do in this situation where you're approaching. But also, like, if you give him a reason to try and like sidestep and challenge you, so maybe a forward 3. I'm not saying suddenly make forward 3 like a core part of your offense. Like right here, just start slamming it away, but start utilizing it a little bit or something to make the Hwoarang, give him a reason to like sidestep first, and then, you know, you start doing the forward 4 to just kind of be like, no, you make sure you stay in line, right? There's that ebb and flow. And then the last thing is just kind of, you're gonna see throughout the match that the Hwoarang does a lot of armored moves, and you running into them with forward 4 is a huge risk, right? You get lucky once where you kind of counter hit him out of it, which is fine, but to risk everything and then just go, all right, I'm gonna do forward 4, and then you risk eating the armor and just getting launched for it, right? So be very judicious, be very careful with when you place that move. Oh, that's a pickup. That's cool. Oh, rip. Yeah. So this is another stage awareness thing, right? Of like, you get the combo, but the sidewall fucks you up, and then, yeah, it's just basically like, he got to tech roll. And that's something you have to be very careful of just kind of these weird sort of claustrophobic stages where any sort of sidewall hit is a lot more common, and then the opponent can tech and immediately disalign themselves, and you're more than likely going to put yourself at the wall. So try to I'm gonna say like muscle memory is kicking in, where you're immediately doing the down 3-4 into switch stuff, but try to rein that in so you don't commit to switch and then just die.
And it's cool to see like people coming in and out the shop. I talked to you about yesterday. We found out there were 229 different players that come through 404. That was dope. I mean, some people got duplicate names. I know Joe Bob, one of them. He got like 10, 20 different.
Anytime. Actually, I don't know if that kick is negative. We'll just keep going. Alright. That's fine. Nice. Oh, okay. Why do the switch 4, right? You're not... I feel like you're overcommitting to that. The move doesn't really hit grounded, as far as I'm aware. It's not like it has like the best, grounded hitbox. I feel like you're better off just doing the switch 3, because switch 3 is still only minus 12, right? Hwoarang's not going to get an amazing punish if he techs roll into a block, and at least here you'd have at least clipped him a little bit as opposed to doing the switch 4. And again, the biggest issue is if you commit to switch 4. You're not homing or anything. You're more likely to whiff, and now you're stuck in whiff recovery while the Hwoarang recovers into whatever he wants. Nice. Oh, rip. Oh. Okay. This is that like you gotta lab the matchup situation. Hwoarang has 4 different versions of this move. Only one of them is like launch punishable. The rest are minus 13. If you want to go for consistency's sake, and you're just like, the moment you see this move, you should punish it, guaranteed. Now, if you want to try and like go for the launch punish, that's going to require a bit of training, and that's going to be up to you, right? How often do you run into Hwoarang? How often are you just like? How often do you need that matchup knowledge? Or are you someone that's like, no, I'm really passionate about this game. I'm going to fucking learn this matchup. This is very critical because you need to punish this at every opportunity that you get. And maybe I'm like completely fucking over and this is the randomly safe version. I'm still of the opinion, do what you can to try and capitalize on these situations. Oh yeah, I should have disclaimer at the beginning of the video. My bad, like I'm not exactly like a Hwoarang expert or some shit. But throughout the match, I feel like you're just leaving a lot of damage on the table by not having by missing your punishes. Like right here at this would have been 1-4-3. That would have killed most likely. 1-2-2 would have given you a shitload of frame advantage and made your next attack like be down 4. And the Hwoarang, because you haven't used down 4 throughout the match, he wouldn't have been ready and he would have just died, right? So it's that situation of throughout the match you miss your punishes, leaving a lot of damage on the table, and then right here this should have been the round. So try to brush up on that. Oh, well, you got it anyway. Nice. Right.
Like New York that had arcade culture, they're always very strong in fighting games. It's a ripple effect. So you guys, younger players, are benefiting from that too. Yeah, I was gonna finish that. Yeah. Oh no, I'm just saying, like it's good to be a part of that. It's dope. It's dope. I don't realize it, like you said, because we're doing it. And then when you told me about the spreadsheet Elliot made,
Rip. So right here, like what's going on here, right? What are you trying to do that's gonna beat him out of it? What is your thought process here? Something to consider is just kind of like backdash. You just need a backdash. It goes back to that core concept of you bait whiffs out of the Hwoarang, and that's how you're gonna be able to like get him when you can, because if you block whatever Hwoarang does, you've committed to, you know, blocking the mix up, and it's like a knowledge check of, do you know this string, do you know this stance, blah 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 blah. Whereas if you focus on making the Hwoarang whiff, are there times where he has, you know, he can use like really fast whiff recovery moves? Yes, but the important thing is that you'll be, you know, at a safer distance. You're not going to be locked into blocking anything. You don't necessarily have to deal with, you know, the stance mix-ups. So committing to like moves this early on and keep trying to challenge him out of whatever he's doing just seems like you're putting too much risk on yourself.
And then when you told me about the spreadsheet Ellie made and the numbers and y'all had all that, I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool, man.
Again.
Everybody around the world.
Ah, it's whatever. Excuse me.
Coming to kick it, dog.
Rip. That's another thing. The moment you see this little low kick, it's always like the high launcher. Maybe he can cancel it into something, but it's just kind of like duck as soon as you can, right? Because then this would have been a launch opportunity.
We had to do this. We got the gloves on. We like nobody, everybody else shut down, so we had to tell them, hey, you can't do it. You can wear your mask.
And so right here again, why are you pressing down 4, right? Because the Hwoarang had that little backdash, you don't reach in time. Now you're locked into switch, and the Hwoarang just kind of gets to do whatever he wants, right? Try to avoid, throughout the match, try to avoid these like commitment heavy moves. Just do down 4, that move has like great range. 1+4, right, that move has solid range. Stuff that's like, the stuff that's like, he hasn't ducked throughout the match that often, right? Because you've used a lot of mids to kind of condition him to stay standing, but you're not really taking advantage of that situation, right? At the start of the round, your opponent, you're still trying to figure out what your opponent does, right? But you can now, 3 rounds in, when you've done a shitload of mids and barely any down 4s, barely any 1+4s, barely any crouch dash 3s, right? You can reasonably assume that, like, okay, he's gonna be standing a bit more now, so you can start just kind of like, all right, let me start throwing out my lows and other options to abuse that, right? And then start to recognize, like, okay, he's gonna start duck, like crouch blocking now. Then you start busting up the mids, right? That ebb and flow.
You can wear your mask. We always sanitize. Yeah. Temperatures at the door. A lot of
Rip.
people too, they don't realize, like, you can wear your mask. We always
So
sanitize.
what? Yeah. I guess you're trying to go for the tech catch, but he tech rolled, so, or not tech catch. What's the word? You were betting on him staying on the ground, but he tech rolled and then you died. Rip. That's like whatever. I probably should have gone for the same thing. Nice.
He made us do it, guys. It ain't like we tried to. We tried to stay at home, but if they were helping us, like, you know, it would be a different story.
Okay, so why are you just kind of waiting, right? He's already recovered. You can see that he's going for like a low parry at the wall because I guess he's expecting the low, and you kind of just stood there and took it and just let him do whatever, right? This right here, this is when you should have done forward 3 like instantly. Just give him a little breathing room. Once you see his body move, just forward 3, right? I mean, this dude should have launched you, but that's a whole different story. You're too passive on Oki, right? It's either you're too passive or you just kind of overcommit to like the down 3-4 into Oki options. Like you're overcommitting to switch options when you have other options, right? Forward 3, forward 3+4, heck, forward 3 here would have been like fine, right? Or you just go for the high risk, just go like hop kick. Oh man, that'd be funny. So you're just too passive here, and it just now you're losing wall pressure because you're giving up room because you're just not sure how to handle this Hwoarang. He just gets to throw his moves at you, and you know, now everything's kind of gone. So it's like, I can understand, nice punish, but I can understand the sort of, all right, let me be a little bit passive to like mix up your timings, and maybe it was the nervousness thing you were talking about, but you gotta be more assertive on your Oki, right? Because it's like, what's the situation? You did the pancake flip, right? Oh, you did? Yeah, pancake flip. All right, so now the opponent is face down, 90 and face down, head towards. All of their options from this situation, if they didn't tech roll, which he didn't, suck. So this is your time, right? There's nothing the Hwoarang can do from this position because he didn't tech roll that is really gonna outspeed or challenge you, right? And this is your time to, put on pressure. But because you let it go, everything just kind of falls apart. Good punish.
Josie, so far. Yeah, man.
Nice.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you did it.
A tragedy. A tragedy. What could have been done? Not entirely sure. TBH. Not entirely sure. Yeah, this is a rough situation. So what caused you?
Josie, so far. Yeah, man. I didn't even know. Happy for you. I'm so happy you did it.
Yeah, I think this is just a situation where you needed to dash block more. You needed to focus more on, all right, let's bait a whiff. Let's focus on baiting something out from the opponent, right? Just doing a bit of a dash block to just kind of like see what he's going to do, if he's going to throw out buttons. Because at the range you're at, you could easily just do like 1 or 2 forward dashes and just block, right? And see if you can bait something out of him. As opposed to, again, overcommitting on a move and then just dying for it. Rip. I think there's a second match after this. Pretty sure, yeah. I'm gonna save it for later. Kinda. So, I'm just gonna, cause I think I just kind of rambled on for too long. My bad, dude. Look, let's just do the usual rundown. Neutral, punishment / matchup knowledge, combos / Oki, and then my personal opinion on stuff. Neutral, there's just like zero poking on your end. You're using all of your big Tekken moves, and honestly, I'd consider like the Josie switch moves like more big Tekken than actual poking. Are there situations where you want to use down forward 4 because it's such like a useful mid tool? Yes. But it's hard to really call it a poke because you don't have that freedom of movement. You don't have anything. You're committing entirely to the stance, right? Compare moves like down forward 4 and all your other switch options to something like down 4 or a single jab, or even just crouch dash 3, right? Or just kind of like a little 3 poke, right? It's that situation of you're committing too much to your big moves of like forward 4, it's a knockdown mid or counter hit launcher, blah blah blah, and you're not doing enough just kind of chipping him down with your down 4s with 1+4, right? Or something like what's another good option? God, I'm drawing blanks here. Or even 1-2, right? 1-2, just 1-2, not 1-2-2, just 1-2, fast jailing, high string. That can kind of like, excuse me. That can kind of just be like, all right, let me see what you got. Leaves you at -1, so you can start moving around more. So just really focus more in the future about what single pokes can you do that don't make you commit to either being in a -9 situation in your opponent's face, or don't make you commit to switch, right? Because you risk getting moved around and then all of a sudden you're getting launched because you can't block and switch. Movement. That's just kind of, you're very stiff and you're kind of on a railroad, right? There's not a lot of side steps coming from you. There's not a lot of like experimenting with doing something that leaves you -1 to 4 or -1 to 3 and then just immediately sidestepping out of the way, right? I mean, I meme about how much like Josie's backdash sucks and stuff, and it's one of the worst, but it's there and you need to utilize it because I think you have solid movement. Like, well, you're in combo now, so that's not gonna. I'll see if I'll find something later. I think you have solid movement. I just think you're not really utilizing to the best that you can, right? It's not about whether or not that the tool that you like the movement tool is good, right? If Josie's backdash is good, that is a different discussion. It's more about you have this tool and you're not utilizing it to the best of your ability, and that's just kind of what's killing you a lot. Instead of maybe abusing Josie's frame data and trying to move around a lot, you're just kind of overcommitting to buttons and then dying for it. Sometimes it works out, like you got your counter hit launches, which is nice, but more often than not, you just overcommit to stuff, and then the situations where you actually want to commit to something like a mix-up or pressure, you just let the Hwoarang recover and do whatever he wants. I think those are the big two ideas from neutral. It's you need to focus more on less commitment heavy pokes, and you need to focus more on movement to try and bait whiffs out of the opponent. Punishment / matchup knowledge. There's a lot that goes into the Hwoarang matchup. I'm not well versed in it enough to just be like, all right, let me give you the 4-1-1 or whatever. God, I'm fucking old. 25. I'm old. You turn to dust after 23. I'm apologizing. I'm rambling. If you're in Zaibatsu, because I don't think the Josie court has like dedicated matchups channels. If you're in Zaibatsu, if you go to the Hwoarang channel and just look at their pinned messages, they have a shitload of write-ups about like, hey, Hwoarang's a fucking bastard. Here's what you do against him, right? Maxwell, the Chin player, he does a lot of write-ups, and I've copied and pasted it across various discords, just kind of like, hey, look, here's what you need to do against Hwoarang, and it covers a huge variety of options. Give it a peek and just kind of see like, okay, you can either, become a PhD, get like a PhD in the Hwoarang matchup, and that'll obviously make your life a lot easier, or you prioritize what's giving you the most trouble. For me, it seems like you're struggling to really know when to challenge the strings and when to just kind of like, all right, let me just move out of the way. So at least researching that aspect of just kind of like, all right, what are some common strings to watch out for, and what can I do against them? And more importantly, when can I get the fuck out of there? And that's just the real critical thing, because I feel like you try to challenge the strings too much, and then you just die for it. And then whiff punishment, just focus more on baiting whiffs and then punishing him accordingly. Maybe there's more. Not much else to say. Combos / Oki. I thought your combo structure is solid. Like your wall standing 2-1 combos, rock solid, right? Your Oki is just sad in certain situations, right? You're too passive. You're not really being as assertive as you need to be, and that's just what's killing you, because you just throw away pressure, or you again overcommit to switch, and then it just happens to be that the Hwoarang knows that tech roll exists, so then he tech rolls, and then he gets to kill you for no reason, right? All because you overcommitted. You have to take that into account. The down back 4-3-2 ender is great. You get your fat damage, you get the pancake flip into amazing Oki, but in that situation, and in a lot of other situations you see throughout the match, the Hwoarang can always tech. And the moment he techs, he disaligns himself, you lose all your wall pressure, and you're stuck in switch because you overcommitted to a switch button, right? Be more mindful about when the opponent techs, what are your options, right? Sometimes it's forward, sometimes you can just do forward to realign, and then do forward 3, right? Stuff like that. So experiment what you can do when an opponent techs, or just check in with the Josie cord. They always got like really good information. They're always discussing neat stuff, or just ask like, all right, what do you guys like to do when an opponent techs? Anything else for Oki that I would consider? Let's see what you do here. Yeah. Why again, that like, it's a good call out, right? Because previously he just kind of crouched and tried to hold forward to low parry whatever you were doing, but I felt like right here you could have done something like just forward 3. Still a lot of good pressure because the Hwoarang is recovering. He's not going to be able to like sidestep right away. on his wake up, but you're not necessarily putting yourself in a punishable situation, right? Yeah, right now at the moment, this is just all off the top of my head. That's whatever. Personal opinion stuff. Options that I like, but your mileage may vary, right? Like, we all have our preferences when it comes to Josie. A lot of it just comes down to recognizing more matchup and punishment situations, so that when you punish with like back 1-1, 1-2-2, stuff like that, you can then set up more of your counter hit tools, because Josie's got really strong counter hit tools, right? Down back 2, down 2, etc., etc., etc. Just doing a bit more to sort of set up your counter hit launchers, as opposed to let me just overcommit to like forward, forward, 4 and switch moves. Other specific tools. Just a lot more down 4, 1+4, right? I say this as someone, is like, don't commit to switch, and then I'm recommending 1+4. I think there's a night and day difference when you look at like your usual entries into switch versus an unseeable low into switch, right? I'm a big fan of unseeable lows, and Josie's got solid options for them. So utilizing them more to make your opponent like second guess themselves. Because other than that, the only time he's really ducking is at the wall, because he expects like down 3-4 into stuff because you've used that so much. Whereas other times there's no reason for him to duck. You're not giving him a reason. You just do your mids all day. He just blocks, and then you're -9 in his face. So now he just gets to do all of his mix-ups, right? So a bit more down 4 or 1+4. Find out the situations that you want to use them in, or just crouch dash 3, right? Just kind of like, hey, chunky damage. It's a good amount of chip damage. You're +4, solid. You can do whatever you want almost, right? So trying to just leverage your tools, as opposed to let me just do 90 million mids all day, but never actually punish you for always stand blocking, right? Because let's be real, you're not going to throw anybody with Josie, not consistently enough to where it's like, yeah, I want to use her throw game, right? All you have are generics and then a 1+2 break, right? Yeah, I've rambled on for long enough. That's just kind of it. That's just my 2 cents watching this match. There's a second one. I feel like this video is really long. My bad. If you're like, hey, I'd actually like you to watch the second match and give me feedback on that as well, let me know. Or if you're like, nah, dude, I'm good. I just watched you ramble on for God knows how long, and I've figured out like what I can work with and what I need to do. More power to you. Whatever works, man. Oh fuck. Disclaimers. I'm just a nerd who likes Tekken and Josie, because Josie's a cutie pie and fun, right? The stuff that I say is not necessarily gospel, right? It's nowhere near that level. It's more just about, hey, based on from what I've played of Josie, from what I've seen of other Josie players, and just generic ass Tekken knowledge, right? I think these are areas that could either use improvement, or here's what you can be doing to sort of give yourself a better chance, right? And it's not necessarily something to take as a commandment, but just kind of like, here's food for thought, give it a shot, see how it works out. And if it works out, awesome. If it doesn't, rip. But just try to vary up your options and stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and just let us know how it goes. And yeah, that's about it.